Now in the previous question, if you had, for example, 5.62 times 1,000, multiplying a number by 1,000 makes it bigger. So what do we do with the decimal point? We shift it 3 place values to the right. 1, 2, 3. And put a 0 here. And if you've shifted 3 decimal place values to the right, then you've multiplied the number by 1,000. So for every 0, shift 1 place value to the right if it's multiplication. Now think about how we would multiply these two numbers. If you drop the decimal point, this would be 2.34 becomes 234. If you drop the decimal point here, it becomes a 1. So you put a 234. Now your final answer will have 1, 2, 3 decimal place values. So 1, 2, 3 and put your dot here. And it's a 0.234. Now if you think about it, 0.1 is 1/10. So it's 1 over a 10. It's the opposite of multiplying by a 10. This is dividing the number by a 10. So if you're multiplying 2.34 with 0.1, it's the same as multiplying 2.34 with 1/10. That is the same as dividing by a 10. So when you divide by a 10, if you have a 2.34, when you divide by a 10, the number gets smaller, which means you shift the decimal point 1 place value to the left. And that's how you get 0.234. Now 2.34 times 0.01 is 234 times 1, which is 234. But we need to make sure there are 4 decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4. A total of 4. So I add a 0. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I put a dot here. So it's 0.0234. Now multiplying with, so 2.34 multiplied with 0.01 is the same as saying 2.34 is multiplied with, if I change this to a fraction, it's going to be 1, 2 decimal places, so hundredths. 1/100th is the same as 1 over 100. Now dividing by 100 is the same as shifting the decimal point not to the right but to the left, because it gets smaller. The number gets smaller when you divide it into 100 equal parts. So 1, 2. So we have 0.0234. So multiplying with 0.01 is the same as dividing by 100. It's the opposite of multiplying by 100. When you multiply, you shift to the right. When you divide by a power of 10, you shift the decimal point to the left. So multiply with 10, 1 place value to the right. Divide by a 10, 1 place value to the left. So for every 10, you go 1 place value to the left for division. 2.34 times 0.000001. So 234 times 1 is 234. But we need to make sure there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decimal places. So 0.001 and 2.34 is multiplied to 0.001. 0.001 is 1/1000ths, tenths, hundreds, thousandths. So that is the same as 2.34 times 1 over 1,000. And when you divide by 1000, what do? Shift to the left by 1, 2, 3 decimal place values, and you get the same answer. And similarly, the next one, you write down 234. You can do it in two ways. This is 1/10,000. You shift the decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decimal place values. So 1, 2, 3 here, 4, 5, 6. So add 3 zeros before the 2 and then put your decimal point to the left of it. So this is 0.000234. Now suppose, let's do one more example. Suppose I have 1.235. If I multiply by 1000, what happens to the decimal point? It shifts to the right by 3 places. So it's 1, 2, 3, 5. That's my final answer. I don't need a calculator. Now if I take 1.235 and divide by 1000, I shift the decimal point 3 places to the left. It's the opposite of multiplication. So 1, 2, 3. So adding 2 zeros would help us shift the decimal point by 3 place values to the left. So the final answer is 0.001235. So remember this rule, memorize it. You'll need it in other classes. So multiplying by a 10 is shifting the decimal point to the right by a certain number of places. Dividing by a power of 10 is shifting the decimal point to the left by a certain number of places. The people of France collectively consume 34.7 million gallons of champagne per year. So how much is that? 34.7 times 1 million gallons. So we have 3, 4, and then how many places do I shift and in which direction? Multiplication tells me shift to the right because the number gets large. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 place values to the right. So if I shift 1, it ends here, the decimal point. I've already shifted 1 place value to the right. I need to shift 5 more, which means I have to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. Make sure you practice this. This is a technique that makes it a lot easier than using a calculator for this sort of a calculation. So we have Coca-Cola Classic was the greatest selling brand of soft drinks. For a recent year, about 4.8 billion. Billion is 1 followed by 9 zeros. That's a million. Add 3 more and it becomes a billion. Gallons were sold at a certain time. Now you take the 4.8 and you have to shift the decimal point. Since it's multiplication, you shift the decimal point to the right by 9 decimal place values. Out of the 9, let's say we shift 1, it becomes 48. We have to go 8 more to make it a 9. So add 8 more zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 4, 8, and then 8 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now let's put the commas starting from the right, put it in groups of 3. So each is a period. So this is 4.8 billion gallons. It's that many gallons.